We're going to go ahead and get started here. It's just a little bit after 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Want to thank all of you who were able to join. And those that weren't able to join, we still are glad you can watch the video recording of this. My name is Gene Norman. I represent WeatherCall. And today we're talking about how El Nino can affect this winter's weather. Joining me is my colleague at WeatherCall, Megan McClellan. Megan, why don't you come off mute and introduce yourself?
Hey everyone. Yes, I am Megan. I am officially the digital marketing director, but I'm also a meteorologist. I've been with WeatherCall for about 2.5 years now, working with Gene on expanding our reach with WeatherCall and showing more people what we can do to help them stay prepared for severe weather.
Great. Thank you so much, Megan. Again, I'm Gene Norman. I've been with WeatherCall since about 2015 after my daily TV weather life ended, helping them sell and market their unique targeted weather solutions. And for those that are not familiar, WeatherCall has a 16-year track record of saving lives. We started back in 2007 when the Weather Service made a strategic change to the way that they send out weather warnings. And we deliver our alerts in a variety of ways through a variety of different brand names, if you will, for enterprise, for manufactured housing communities under the name of Hazard Call. And we also have a physical unit, an outdoor monitoring device called Hazard Alarm. What we're talking today, of course, is about El Nino, the background of what is El Nino and why do we even care about it. We're going to talk about how El Nino affects the weather because it really does. We're going to look at the 2023-2024 winter outlook. And some of us have gotten an early taste of winter weather with the colder temperatures since Halloween. But we'll talk some more about the longer term trends. And we'll talk about ways you can enhance your safety plan, armed with the information that you now know about what could happen this coming winter. So first of all, what is El Nino? Typically, it is a warming of the waters in the equatorial Pacific, and I like to think of it as a pendulum. You see the pendulum swinging back and forth in the middle of the screen because we go between periods of warmer weather and cooler weather in that region of the world, the equatorial Pacific. And I want to thank Benjamin for joining us. We've just gotten underway, Benjamin. So we're talking about the impact of El Nino, and we're talking about, first of all, what it is. It's, again, a periodic warming of the equatorial waters in the Pacific Ocean. Scientists can observe it. We're not exactly sure why we switch between El Nino and La Nina, but we know that we do because of a series of buoys that are placed in the ocean there that monitor the temperature continuously and let us know what's happening. So what happens is when that water changes temperature, if you will, it rises out of the ocean and alters the direction of jet stream patterns, which are the patterns in the high levels of the atmosphere that move weather systems around the world. And when we're in El Nino, which is on the left, we have more of what's called a subtropical jet stream. It's a warm band of those winds that move all the way from Baja California over to Florida. And it more or less produces a rainier pattern in the southern part of the United States. Compare that to La Nina, which we've had for the last several winters, which is less of that pattern, especially along the Gulf Coast, but more of a dip in the jet stream that brings colder weather to portions of the Great Lakes and the Northeast. And of course, they've had some pretty significant snowstorms in recent years. May not see that much this year because in a La Nina, while we do have that dip and it makes it cooler and wetter across the northern tier, El Nino, the opposite, is that we have a pronounced subtropical jet stream, which brings wetter and sometimes colder weather to portions of the south. Oftentimes, we get the dramatic snowstorms. Snowmageddon happened during an El Nino, so not saying we're going to have another Snowmageddon, but we might, and certainly might have the time where the moisture lines up properly with the cold air. Also in the southeast, we are anticipating the potential for more severe weather episodes, especially in the early part of the winter, as that subtropical jet stream rides along the Gulf of Mexico. It can often produce enhanced episodes of severe weather. This depiction from the National Weather Service in Tallahassee highlights that because folks in the Gulf Coast are especially concerned about the potential for severe weather in the early part of the winter season. Otherwise, the main difference is in how and moisture temperature and moisture patterns set up during El Nino and La Nina. So in El Nino, they typically have more of the blue shading on the left-hand side of the screen, meaning it's going to be cooler than normal across a good part of the south, parts of the southeast, and a little bit of the northeast. And notice the warmer weather pattern expected in parts of the Pacific Northwest. Flip that around for La Nina, and that is the difference between those two regimes. As far as the precipitation goes, well, again, in an El Nino, we expect it to be wetter, indicated by more green across portions of the south, especially along the Gulf Coast and into the Northeast, and potentially along portions of the Pacific Northwest. They typically see a few more of what are called the atmospheric river events, and they could see some more of that this winter as well. So here's the official outlook from the National Weather Service, because not all El Ninos are the same. Sometimes we have stronger ones, sometimes we have weaker ones, and sometimes they last longer or for shorter periods of time. And so it's important to understand what could happen as we walk into the winter season. And what the Weather Service does, NOAA, the Weather Service, what they do is they look at these patterns, they look at history, and they look at computer models and come up with a projection for what the overall season could be. Now remember, within a given season, you will have peaks and valleys. It won't always be necessarily warmer than normal or colder than normal, etc. But on average, this is what we expect. So again, warmer in the Pacific Northwest, as depicted on the left, about normal for the south and the southeast as far as the temperatures go, and perhaps somewhat warmer than normal in parts of the northeast. So again, there may not be as many snow episodes. Doesn't mean that there won't be any, but with warmer than normal temperatures expected this winter, that's not as likely. And again, on the right-hand side, what is the precipitation outlook? And again, precipitation is rain or snow. Expected to be above normal, especially above normal there from, let's say, New Orleans back over to sections of most of central Florida and even as far north as, let's say, Charlotte. Whereas the Great Lakes and parts of the northern plains will be below. Now remember, you may say, well, wait a minute, they just had like a 2-foot snow event in portions of Montana, and that's true. But again, we're talking about on average. So while they may have had that one big event, there may not be many more to follow. So knowing now that there could be more severe weather in terms of the potential for strong storms along the Gulf Coast, what can you do to ensure business continuity? Well, that's where our WeatherCall Enterprise solution can come in and help provide some guidance, because at the end of the day, you need to be sure whether or not you should keep working or shelter, and if you have the information you need to make those decisions with a high degree of confidence. The challenge, of course, is in the world we live in now, there's lots of confusion and overwarning. Whether you get your weather alerts on the phone, sometimes the information is not as detailed as you might like. There's thousands of apps that you can choose from, where there's weather radios and there's outdoor sirens. And the problem is when any of these go off, people are not sure exactly what to do because sometimes the information can be conflicting. Now here's an example of how that manifests on the left-hand side of your screen. In this case, 2 counties are being told that they're under warning, when in fact, it is only a portion of the county on the left that really has to be concerned about severe weather. But as far as weather radios, smartphones, and outdoor sirens are concerned, both of these counties are at risk for severe weather. The real warning on the right, indicated by that red box, is what is of concern, and it really only affects one of those counties. The other county, well, yes, a lot of people are being told that by the legacy systems that they are under alert, but in fact, they may not have to be take action at all. So this confusion causes people to either take the wrong action or not take any action because they're not getting the specific information that they need. And so what WeatherCall does is we focus on that red box, whether you're in it, and let you know with phone calls, texts, and emails, so you have all the information as well as visual displays to let you know that there is in fact dangerous weather moving into your area. And we notify you for tornadoes, severe thunderstorms and lightning, flash floods, winter storms, even heat alerts. And because we like to be proactive, we also let you know when the potential for severe weather is at level 3 or higher on a scale of 1 to 5. That's called the convective outlook. So these are the many ways that or the many kinds of weather threats that we monitor with the various weather call services. We also have an enhanced way for businesses to know about incoming severe weather because we've got the ability to tie our alerts into existing fire control panels. So if the weather alert goes off, it can cause your fire control panel to activate signage, sound an alarm, play an audio file, etc. So that's another way that we leverage our technology. And then finally, for outdoor purposes, whether you have outdoor workers or for outdoor recreation spaces, we have a unit called Hazard Alarm, which can sound a piercing siren as well as flash lights when lightning is present or if you're under a tornado warning. So we have a variety of ways to keep you covered. Our pricing is based on how many people need to be notified about these various threats, how far in advance do you need to know so that you can take shelter in a timely fashion, what we call our geofence, and the types of threats that we monitor. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. I told you this would be brief, and I appreciate you taking the time to join us today. If you want more information about our service, you can go to our website, weathercallservices.com, and get more information there. You can also contact me directly. Well, thank you again for joining. We appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day, and stay safe this winter.